Nigeria drags the first position for the country with the most people living in extreme poverty, with India. We are talking of about 76 million people, according to the World Poverty Clock. The clock also says that whereas India is visibly reducing on a per-second basis the numbers of poor people, Nigeria is not. The causes of this problem in Nigeria are many. There is the historical perspective by which we, like every other sub-Saharan African country, had to learn the new ways of running the economy from our colonizers. But Nigeria is the largest in terms of population on the continent, meaning that our administrators have a larger responsibility to manage these many people successfully. Alas, Nigeria has also suffered many decades of below-par administration, resulting in corruption and other malaises. With the level of problems that we have created for ourselves in this regard, it behooves on private entities and philanthropists and other good-spirited Nigerians to get involved in assisting with the poverty issue. Whereas poverty is incredibly tough to eradicate, but we all can make the lives of our fellow Nigerians a little bit better for a period of time. I believe that everybody should chip in where they can while we continue to put government under the required pressure to do the right thing and ensure better allocation of resources and redistribution of income. A program of sincere and effective mass education is believed to be a sure banker towards reducing the pace at which poverty is spreading in Nigeria. Nigeria has no excuse increasing the number of poor people at this age and time. Today on the Nationalist, we will be discussing with Mr. Abubakar Widi Jallo, who manages the Widi Jallo Foundation and has made remarkable impact in the philanthropic arena. We will be getting his perspective on a number of issues and also gaining inspiration from some of the experiences of the organization. Welcome to the Nationalist, Abu.
Thank you, Mr.
Fantastic. It's good to see you. I'm meeting you for the first time.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, you're fantastic, and thanks for coming.
I'm glad to
you know, I mean, you heard the preamble to our discussion today, as I just read out. So I know you're in this philanthropic space and all of that. You know, what has been your experience in terms of philanthropy in Nigeria?
Well, my experience has been very eventful right from day one. The very first day, we started with the Keep the Vulnerable Warm initiative. Through the social media, because what we do is crowdfunding. I raised 1 million naira on day one. So right from day one, it has been very eventful and very successful. From there on, we also participated during the COVID-19 lockdown.
Yes.
We managed to raise up to 23 million naira using the same model of crowdfunding. We partnered with a number of other NGOs like the Foundation for Refugee Empowerment, and the Gata Marayu Foundation, and Khairi Foundation, and a number of other foundations. It really opened our eyes to the level of poverty in rural Nigeria, because you think you've seen poverty, you need to visit the rural areas. And in the course of doing our food palliative distribution, we discovered that a lot of communities lacked the most basic of the basic amenity, which is water. And that is how we also delved into water interventions.
Fantastic. You know, I mean, so what impact do you think philanthropy can have, you know, given what you've done, if we project further and get more people involved? How much dent can it make on the poverty in Nigeria, really?
Well, from our own experience, in a very short period, in 2 years, we have been able to drill 310 water projects in 310 communities across 17 states in Nigeria, the FCT, and Niger Republic. There's an estimated 3,000 people per community. So when you times that by 310. That will give you 600,000 people. So we have affected 600,000 people in Nigeria just by providing clean, potable water to those communities. And according to UNICEF, 100,000 children die from waterborne related diseases.
Every year.
Every year. So when you provide clean, potable water to those communities, what you're doing is you're reducing the number of those death rates. You're also improving their standard of living. And illiteracy and lack of basic amenities also comes with a cost. And the cost is illiteracy, the cost is disease and death. So by intervening in providing clean, potable water, you're improving the lives of those individuals.
Exactly, yeah. You're solving a very basic problem. So, but how much of our problems, the problem of poverty, which is very intense in Nigeria, how much of that is self-inflicted or due to maybe traditional practices that need to change? You know, and I must say this, you know, because as an economist, I read a lot of things, and Nigeria, we like to talk about financial inclusion. They don't have accounts. But what I see are people who are, you know, permanently excluded from the economy, and they wake up, there's nowhere to go, nowhere to earn. But how much of that is due to them, and how much is due to maybe government not understanding these issues?
Well, it still boils down to illiteracy, because most especially in the North, there's this belief that when you're poor and then you marry more wives, and then things will, what they call it,
they'll bring
blessings. But the truth is, if you don't have this family planning, you're going to be overwhelmed with the number of children, and it will be more difficult for you to educate them. So those basic things are self-inflicted, you know, self-inflicted. So on the part of the government, they need to invest more in education, most especially in the rural areas. They need to educate people on population control. Because without a population control, you will be in trouble. You will not be able to plan, and you will not be able to provide for the number of people.
And is government achieving anything from your experience, from where you've been and all? Are there improvements going on? And what can NGOs do to?
In most of the areas we have been to, there's almost zero presence of government.
Zero presence of government.
So what I advise is, we have the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. The state governments should also replicate those ministries. And then partner with reputable NGOs. For instance, the state government can register 10 NGOs, give them funds, allocate funds to them, and they can channel those funds to the what they call it, to the grassroots, where it's really needed. There's this disconnect between those communities and governance. We normally have interviews with them after our water project, and they tell you that the only time government officials visit, it's maybe when they want to conduct elections, or that is the only time they remember them. So government needs to do a lot in terms of connecting with the rural areas. There's also the issue of inconsistent policies. Every government comes with one poverty alleviation program or the other, and before you know it, another government comes in, and that one is phased out before any impact is done. You've had the, what they call it, the NAPEP. You have the Better Life for Rural Women. And so those inconsistencies and clear-cut policies, those are the...
I heard you spoke about crowdfunding, which is a great way of, you know, raising funds and so on. I was thinking how much more collaboration is possible between NGOs like yours, foundations like yours, really coming together to pool some very transformative amounts of money, maybe in terms of volume.
Yes, we've done a lot of collaborations with other NGOs, and that is why we have been able to do what we have done. For instance, during the lockdown, our foundation, I can tell you we're the first in Nigeria to start the food palliative distribution.
Wow.
We anticipated that there was going to be a lockdown, so we started preparing and advocating and raising funds. We secured, what do you call it? We secured police permits.
Okay.
Yes, from the Commissioner of Police in 7 states.
So if you want to share food to our people, you need a police permit.
No, during the lockdown, there was
people couldn't
restriction
move
of movement.
Okay.
So we got a police permit to move, and we collaborated with 6 other NGOs, and we were able to raise 23 million naira.
Wow.
At the end of the day, we distributed 6,000 food parcels.
Wow.
And
raw food.
Yes, raw food. Each parcel was for 5 members of a household.
Wow.
So if you times 6,000 times 5, it will give you about 16,000 people. So we affected at least
330,000.
At least 30,000 people across 7 states.
Wow.
So those collaborations go a long way. Instead of working in a fragmented manner.
Exactly, yeah. And it's something we can double down on.
It's something we can double down on,
In fact, there's these policies in the financial markets about crowdfunding, which I think they're trying to push through in Securities and Exchange Commission, to be able to have crowdfunding companies that all they do is help people to raise funds for this kind of project.
Yes.
Because now everybody, political season has come now, you see people going to GoFundMe and all of that. But there are many causes that GoFundMe does not support. And if you don't have account abroad, you may not even get the money in. What do you think about that?
Yeah, for instance, in Nigeria, there's this platform. It's called Pay Sabil.
Okay.
It's also a crowdfunding platform. So you can, like our foundation can subscribe with him, and then if anybody donates towards water funds, some percentage will come to our fund. So it's a way of broadening and making it easier for people to key into crowdfunding.
Okay, fantastic. I think we'll take a short break now and pay some bills, and then when we come back, we'll be continuing with Mr. Abubakar Widi Jallo, and we'll be discussing the subject of philanthropy and poverty in Nigeria.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome back to the Nationalist, and we've been discussing with Mr. Abubakar Widijalo, and we're discussing issues around poverty in Nigeria, and of course the role of philanthropy, how they can help government to try and solve this problem. So Abu is still here with me. Yeah, well, I would like you to talk about some of your very remarkable experience in this space.
Well, one of the most remarkable experience is with the water project.
Okay.
And the impact we have been able to make in a very short period. In 2 years, we have raised over 110 million through crowdfunding, and we have drilled 310 boreholes in 17 states and the Niger Republic.
Do you know how much, I'm cutting in there, sorry, but I'm sure that if it was a government project, 300 boreholes would have cost quite a considerable amount of money.
It would have cost a quite considerable amount of money, but we do it at the exact amount. Yeah. Because, we are non-profit, and we also do it ourselves directly.
Direct labor.
Yes. So, and
I think I've seen some of the terrains. I see a place where, in some of the things you shared, where children were drinking water from like mud.
From mud, yes. That's a very common sight, most especially in areas like Gombe, Kano State, the outskirts of Kano State, and some parts of Jigawa State.
They drink mud water?
Yes, they drink mud water.
That can also give them...
And also give them waterborne diseases. Yeah. So alhamdulillah, we've been able to intervene in a lot of communities in a very short period. To the extent that even the Kano State government sent us a letter of commendation.
Oh, that's good.
The Jigawa State government also sent us a letter of commendation because we've done over 200 projects in Jigawa State alone. And we also...
when did you start, really? Like what year?
We started in 2020, just before the COVID pandemic.
And what are your plans for this year and subsequent years?
Well, our plan is sustainability. How to sustain the programs, how to maintain the boreholes that we have sunk.
Okay, yeah. That's very important.
By buying, acquiring those equipments instead of renting them. Yeah. So when we have them as a foundation, everything, all the profit will go back into drilling boreholes and providing clean, potable water for communities in their need.
Fantastic. I know you're Lagosian, born and bred, but you want to tell me why Widijalo Foundation in the first place? Where is this coming from historically?
Well, historically, this is coming from my dad, and that is why it is named after him. Even though he did not run any foundation, but the way he lived his life with his family members and friends and neighbors, he was a free giver. And as a kid, when you grow up seeing things like that at home, you automatically also... So I've always wanted to also give back to humanity. And
do you have political ambitions as well?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Are you sure you won't change your mind?
Not in the nearest future.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So because you don't mix humanitarian activities with politics or... Yeah.
It's always good to have a very clean intention about some of these things, Yeah. Well, what's your advice for government, to try and solve, given your experience, to try and solve some of these more acute problems? What can they do differently?
Well, most especially in regards to the water projects, I advise that at the state level they create ministries of humanitarian affairs.
Okay.
And then collaborate with NGOs who know this terrain better. Most like our NGO, we know a lot of communities. We've been to a lot of communities. We know the problems and we know the solutions. And then at a larger scale, for instance, if you travel from Hadejia to Guru in Yobe State, you have one of the biggest freshwater in the whole country. And that's
really?
Yes,
Yes.
On that stretch.
Hadejia, there's this water I was seeing.
Yes, Hadejia, Jamari River Basin.
Yes.
But the issue is the water hyacinth has overtaken about 60% of the fresh water, which in turn will suffocate the fish and other
other life forms.
Other life. Yeah. So I advise that they find a way of clearing the water hyacinth, which will also give way to cleaner and fresher water, and also the delegation. There's a disconnect between the state government and the local government and the communities. So they need to do more in delegating responsibilities.
Yeah. Would you want? Are you planning for Widi Jallo Foundation to go national at some point to have a reach?
Yes, I can tell you that we are already national because we have done a number of projects in Lagos. We have done 2 projects in Osun State.
Okay, in Lagos, that's good.
Yes, but some of the problems we encounter, most especially in the southeast, is the issue of communities wanting to tax us before we carry out project, because they just assume when they hear boreholes, they assume it's a government contract. And
I mean, that's a scenario where the people are working against their own interests.
So they need to be educated that NGOs are not profit oriented. So those are some of the problems we've encountered. But we hope to reach other parts of the country, most especially the south, and the southeast.
Southeast. Yeah, I think this is a good place to draw the curtains for today. I want to thank you once more, Mr.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, and I also want to encourage you to continue doing what you're doing, and we'll be also following up on social media, and where we can contribute as well, we will, because the problem of poverty, which is becoming an African phenomenon, and more like a Nigerian phenomenon, must be tackled one way or the other. And of course, according to United Nations, what we have in Nigeria is what's called multi-dimensional poverty. So not only food to eat, water to drink, no access to hospitals, to schools, and what have you, the things that make basic life. And I personally believe that the moment to begin to tackle some of these things, this country will really grow and develop, and everybody will be able to chip in towards the progress of this country. So once more, I thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you very much, sir.
Okay, and we've come to the end of the program for today, your program, The Nationalist, and just stay in touch with us, and I think every week we'll be bringing you new episodes, bringing very interesting people to your view, and letting you know what's happening around the world. Thank you very much, and thanks for patronage and your loyalty.